3 things on our agenda for the working session. We'll go through them, and if any of the public wishes to comment, they're welcome to 3 minutes of comment, and say your name and your street residence, or if you live in the city or the county, and we'll get started. So the first thing we have on the work session agenda is a request for a record disposal, RM60 and RM88. So Lonnie, do you want to tell us about that?
Yep. So all these forms are, it's just standard procedure. Our new gal, Gabriella, has been working very hard in our basement, going through tons and tons of records. So she's compiled all of these reports, and we have everything boxed down there that coincides with all this stuff. So it's just a request to destroy the records, but it has to go through the process. You guys approve it, and then we send it off to the state, and then they have to approve it before we can actually dispose of them. So it's pretty much just, but there's a lot down there, and there's a lot of stuff we can't get rid of. There's a lot of stuff we have to keep for so many years, and so it's a big process, but she's doing great down there. And so yeah, that's kind of all that these are. So.
This is all in accordance with our, document retention policies.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Does anybody have any more questions for it? Teresa?
So Lonnie, are there any other expectations around this that would cause microfilming or digital copies that would cause a budget item, or it's just all going to be incinerated?
Yeah, so this stuff, we can get rid of. The stuff that is like a permanent records and stuff. Later down the road, we can look at doing something like that to make it a little bit more easier to store. But as of right now, this stuff,
No requirement.
No.
So where do the records, do they go to the records themselves go to someone?
No, just the forms.
And then how are they disposed?
We burn them.
Oh.
Do we all get to burn them together?
It's unfair.
When I saw incinerate, I was like, let's give me a party.
Does anybody else have any questions for Lonnie?
I have one more question. I was just curious, is this done every year, every couple of years? What's the cycle on this?
Just as we get it done. So it just depends. And then once she gets to a point where, because she's labeling everything down there as far as years and stuff. So once she gets through all of them and stuff, then it'll probably be a yearly process of the ones that we can, that the retention is 5 years or 8 years or 10 or permanent type of thing.
So since we have this new capacity, we should expect to see this request for the next couple of
months.
months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Great.
All right, well, if no one has any more comments, we'll talk about the UCF Program Development Grant. James, is Courtney around?
She's online.
Oh, yay. Hi, Courtney.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you want to tell us about this grant?
Yes, so this is a grant. The Parks Board applied for 2 grants and received both. This one is for field trees at Field School Park, managing for emerald ash borer, which is part of the Montana Forest Action Plan, and also, mitigating any hazards with those aging trees in Field School Park, and also adding 10 cost share trees to our cost share tree program. So we will have 35 trees available rather than 25 for the cost share tree program this year. All the matching funds were out of Parks Board funding, existing funding, so we didn't need to request any extra funds. So we were awarded this grant. So essentially what we need now is authorization for the mayor to sign for the award letter when it gets sent out. It has not been sent out yet.
Does anybody have any questions? Courtney, is that for, do you think that those trees would be planted this spring?
Yes, so part of the work has to be done before next year, like before the end of this year, I guess I should say. And so the process is to remove trees additional to the trees that got removed by Northwestern Energy, to remove them, grind them, and then replace them with new trees by August.
I would imagine there's going to be a lot of people that want to know how come we're cutting down all the trees in the park.
Yeah, and we when we got rid of the ones from Northwestern Energy, I mean, that was a little bit different because they were encroaching on the power lines, but I did try to go ahead and start plugging. Emerald ash borer is a concern. It's not in Montana yet, but the Montana Forest Action Plan is asking for cities to begin looking at where they have high density areas of emerald ash trees and reduce, and that's just good urban forestry practice anyway, to not have high density of species, or species that are more dominant than others. So we have sort of started that a little bit when they were working on that. So it's definitely part of what we're going to do is some public outreach. We want to do some activities on emerald ash borer identification, so people can be on the lookout for it. So maybe we can detect it once it eventually comes. We can detect it sooner than later.
Courtney, are in-kind services eligible for this, toward that matching grant?
Yes.
Great. Get the volunteers signed up.
Yeah, and for anyone that's interested, if you want to reach out to me, I can send you what our application was that we sent in that got approved, so you know what the expectations are from the Urban Community or Forestry Foundation.
Perfect.
And Courtney, are they providing expertise in helping us decide what variety or what species of trees to replace these with?
They do a little bit. The UCF has those resources, so we did tell them a few of the species that we would like to use. So they want to see drought tolerant, pest resistant, and then they also want to see there's like certain percentages of genus versus species. So we did suggest a couple of species we'd like to use, and then part of their approval of our application was they approved those species that we'd like to plant them with or replace them with.
Great, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions or discussion points? All right, thank you, Courtney.
Yep, thanks all.
All right, we'll move on to the pool phase 2 bid. And this should be interesting. And Brent, do you want to tell us a little bit about the status of this?
Sure. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. My name is Brent Moore with Interstate Engineering, and we are the design engineer on the project. There are a number of pool committee members here as well, and Al is on the phone. We've been working diligently with the pool committee over the last probably 8 months to design phase 2 of the pool. Phase 2 includes an addition to the bathhouse, an installation of a splash deck, and a renovation entirely of the bathhouse. You'll see that an addition has already been added to the bathhouse, and that was a change order in phase 1 in order to accelerate the schedule of enclosing the building so that when phase 2 is awarded, whoever the contractor is that's awarded that bid could immediately begin to work inside the enclosed building. That was not the original plan, but we've been flexible as the project's gone on, and so you'll have seen that the building already has an addition to it. So in terms of the phase 2 bid, you have in your packet the recommendation that we did receive. The city received 1 bid from Langless & Associates. Langless is the current contractor on phase 1. We did have another eligible contractor that was going through the bidding process and ultimately did place a bid. but it did, I think, make the prices a bit more competitive than had we only expected one bidder, but alas, we only did get one bidder. So the bids did come in high. All bids in general with construction projects are coming in high right now. As we all know, inflation is a huge issue right now within the country. Materials costs have gone through the roof, as well as labor and other costs. And so it's likely really not the best time to be bidding a project, but there are two moving elements in this specific project. One is the cost, the other is the schedule, and the community is still pushing to have the pool open in mid-June. That would include now phase 2. Another thing we've done to accelerate the schedule of phase 2 is we've already ordered the splash deck equipment. So that equipment will be installed by the contractor, but the contractor is not purchasing that. That's been direct purchased by the city. And so that will arrive in the spring to be installed. Some other pieces that have caused a delay in phase 1 has been the stainless steel sidewalls of the pool. Several months ago, you may have all heard that it was really difficult to come by steel, and we did encounter that with the phase 1 project, but the steel has been ordered, it's being fabricated. Again, it will come as soon as spring comes to be installed. So that kind of gives you a general update on the pool, but again, our recommendation is to award phase 2 to Length and Associates.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Teresa?
Mayor, I'd like to know why the base bid of $683,013 that's been changed is being asked for instead of what it was represented as the total cost of $835,213. And in play with that, you know, there's a listing for a future water deck water slide to be installed, but I understand that the slide feature itself is up in the air as to which one will be ordered.
So those are both good questions. On the base bid, so the base bid is just the contractor price. And so we received a bid from the contractor, and so your action tonight is just award the bid to the contractor. So that estimate that you're referring to includes other project costs that aren't directly related to the contractor awarded bid. Does that answer that question? Those costs have always been in the estimate,
Right.
and so they're separate from this action tonight. This is just an award of the contractor price.
How might the contractor price change once the slide type?
So that's a separate
Right.
question, and Al can also respond to the slide question, but I guess from our perspective, the slide again would, if it moves forward, the slide would be a direct purchase from the vendor. So it's a slide vendor, just like the pool equipment vendor. And then the vendor actually would have to install it. That's how those slides are designed. And so that's a separate cost out of entirely the bid. So that's why there's a line item, the other purchase items in the future. So the splash deck has been purchased. The deck water slide is to be purchased if the pool committee raises enough funds to purchase that, and Al can answer those questions. But it's totally separate from the contract with the contractor. It's just separately installed, separately paid for.
So can I continue? I have some other questions, Brett.
No, that's fine.
So I'm understanding that there's a difference in the slide types that may be ordered. I don't know what the decision is or the direction, but I'm understanding that one would require a third lifeguard to be on duty in order to operate it. And I'm concerned that there could be additional costs to the city for operation that are not actually known or were approved up front. And I know that the contractor in the bid, but I'd like to have that answered at this time since it was listed and it's a future item. I just would wonder if we could get that answer.
Yeah, I think that's probably better to ask that question.
Go ahead,
I can
Al.
answer that. We're talking about the water slide. We've looked at the pool regulations and pool recommendations for lifeguards, and the square footage of our particular pool, including the diving board and the splash deck. We have to have lifeguards that can see the pool at all times, and that requires only 2. and the fact that the water slide will be down near the diving board, one lifeguard can look at that end of the pool, and another lifeguard could look at the shallow end of the pool and have it covered according to the regulations as stated within the criteria. We do not need a lifeguard for the splash deck. We will have some adult supervision there, I hope, but we don't need a lifeguard. Also on the slide, we have a cost estimate of $60,000. That was a little bit higher. We're going to try to negotiate that price down because it is a direct purchase. And we already have one donor who has made a $25,000 donation specifically to the water slide. They want their donation to go to the water slide. So that's where we stand on the water slide. I hope I answered your question.
So conceptually, we're looking at possibly a phase 3, which would be adding the slide, installing it later, along with what was mentioned as a pergola and solar heating. I mean, the list kind of goes on. So where do we cap this?
Phase 3 could be the pergola and the solar heating. We want to keep the slide into phase 2 and have budgeted accordingly. I passed out a sheet to you all. Hope you all received it. It showed the breakdown where we raised $919,210 in cash and pledges to date. We spent $208,000, so it gives us a $710,874. Assuming you pass phase 2 tonight, because that'll release $500,000 from a contracted pledge. That'll get us through the winter. And then we'll have between now and April or May to raise the 284 that would cover the cost for the remainder of the slide, splash deck, and the pool house.
So just to recap what I think I heard, there's no problem right now with funds to cover this base bid as it stands at $683.
No, not in our opinion. There's not. In that, basically what happened here is that we have 2 grant applications that are out that we're certainly on paper we qualify for. There's no guarantee that we'll get them. And we have 6 potential donors that are looking at us right now that are considered significant donors. And then we have the ability, as if you recall, and I see Dave Westwood's on the call, that the city put an additional $250 in the budget just in case we couldn't make up the shortfall from a grant that we did not complete in last November. So I think we're in pretty good shape financially, allowing us the next 3.5 months to get the 284.
That's an additional 284, and that's great. But for 683, it's in hand, and we're good, right?
The what?
The 683 we have in hand, and we're good, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. Maybe Judith can answer that question. I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
We do have that. That's all I'm asking is just, let me make sure.
Right now we have $710,874 in cash and contract pledges at our disposal.
Perfect. Thank you.
And that'll certainly get us through the winter. The work that's going to go forward on the pool house. And then the spring comes, then we're hoping then we can finish up any outside work we need to do, plus the water slide.
Thanks, Dale.
Any other discussion? Any other comments or discussion on the pool or comments from the public? Does anybody online have anything they want to mention? All right. Well.
Okay.
Dave.
Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, I'm going to turn off my camera. That was just to get attention. I just took my hat off, so we're going to hide that. You don't need to look at me. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to hide that. There we go. Stop my webcam. Al, can you clarify? You mentioned that 700,000 some odd. My understanding is the large majority of that is in fact specifically pledged and tied to phase 2. So one of the concerns, if we don't get this approved and move forward, is that we run the very serious risk of losing basically the already 700,000 plus that has been pledged. Is that a fair understanding?
That's correct. We have a $500,000, but actually it comes out to about 510 because it's from 2 donors, pledge that is specifically tied to the council approving phase 2. So I was expressed to Mayor Cogswell that following tonight's meeting, she's going to write me a note saying that the council has approved phase 2, and I'll pass it on to those 2 potential donors, and hopefully then they will deposit that amount of money within their account within the next 10 days.
All right, thank you. That was my only question, and that was my recollection. I just wanted to clarify I was remembered accurately and was known information out there.
All right, any other comments or discussion points? Online or in real life?
Hey.
All right, so I guess that does it for the meat of our work session, unless anybody else has anything they'd like to add. Okay.
It said on the agenda, Ms. Mayor, that this was an action item at the work session.
No.
Can we get a vote now, or do we have to wait till the council meeting?
We have to wait for the council meeting.
That's when it's the action item. Right. Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to be present at the council meeting. Is that a problem?
Nope. We've got Judith.
Never.
Thank you for all you've done.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand all that. Do I need to change plans so that do I got to attend the council meeting, or
Al, you
we
don't
answered answered all your questions today?
Everyone has asked all the questions that they need to ask of you, and we still have Brent and Judith, so you can go enjoy your evening. And Anita, that's right. So thank you very much. I appreciate all the work you've done.
Well, I thank you, Interstate Engineering, and also the pool committee. I think we're moved forward in a very positive manner here. And as I said, we're confident that we can get there come April or May, and hopefully we're still on track for opening in June, assuming that the council meeting goes as I believe it's going to go following the work session discussion.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Dale.
Thank you.
Well, that sums it up for our work session. And I'll have a cup of coffee, get a drink of water. We'll resume at
Why can't you do the meeting?
Because I have another meeting.
All right, the meeting for January 11th is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Battle. Here. Kelly.
Here.
Durbin. Here. Eaton.
Here.
Ronnie. Here. Whistler. Here.
So the first thing on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of December 14th. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes on December 14th, 2021.
So there's two different ones. There's
Oh, the working session?
Yeah.
I'll move to approve the working session minutes of December 14th, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, roll call.
Battle.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Durbin.
Yes.
Eaton.
Yes.
Ronnie. Yes. Whistler.
Yes.
Okay, then we'll work on the minutes for December 14th for the city council business meeting.
I so move to approve the minutes of the regular session of December 14th.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yes. I just wanted clarification, I guess, because on the motion to reconsider ordinance number 956, urban renewal district, it makes it sound like we only need one more reading of it because the first reading didn't pass. So I thought when we did this that we were setting it up to start all over again with doing another reading. It is, so I guess I just want clarification on that.
Teresa?
Mayor, my understanding was that we would need to start with a first reading again because we have a new sitting council.
Right.
We'd have to go through two readings with the sitting council.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know that that's absolutely true, but that was my understanding.
It just the way it's written in there, it just says, and the second public hearing could like, it makes it sound like we're only gonna have one more public hearing, and I thought we had to have two.
So that was all in Tom's, when he read that big, long motion, that was all in there. So that's how the motion was made, whether that was the intent of how the process works.
We're
looking two readings, so.
That's what we approved.
With that we still need two readings. Okay.
I think he was just clarifying that if with the second public hearing, it could result in a more thorough evaluation. But I don't think it's stating that it's just moving to the second.
Okay, perfect.
Any more?
That's what I understood too, that we were voting to have two additional readings to start over, as Teresa said.
Any more discussion?
Can we just make sure that this clarification's in the meetings, in the minutes from tonight? Thanks. 'Cause I was confused also.
All right, roll call.
Battles?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Eaton?
Yes.
Ronnie? Yes. Whistler?
Yes.
All right, the next thing is warrants payable. Jody, do you want to review that?
Sure. I move to approve warrants payable in the amount of $297,088.05.
Second that?
Any discussion?
Most everything was pretty standard. That's actually a small amount compared to what we have been paying lately. So there was some pool payments in there. We paid half of the pool equipment, which was in our discussion at from Interstate Insurance. He did. But that was a pass-through, correct? So, because what they did was the pool committee gave us the money to pay for it. Yeah. Did you see anything else in this that caught your eye?
Everything else looks pretty normal.
Yeah, compared to the 800,000 that we've been doing. 287 seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Battles? Yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Eaton?
Yes.
Ronnie? Yes. Whistler?
Yes.
All right, next on the agenda is officer reports. Officer Strzok, or Chief Strzok, do you have anything to report?
Nothing major to report. I just had our newest officer sworn in yesterday morning, and he is currently undergoing the field training process. And the one we hired before him is about to complete his field training process. So we will be back at full staff here to where all areas are covered, hopefully within the next 6 weeks, I'd say.
Okay, cool.
Other than that, there's nothing major. If you guys have any questions for me.
I don't, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is mayor's comments, and I have a few things to mention. The first one is maybe you've all heard the noon whistle. So I hope you like it. And then another thing that's been an issue is there's been a lot of garbage blowing around with some of these winds that we've gotten, so please make sure to tell your neighbors if you see any open dumpsters, please cover them up. It is a ordinance, so we need to get on top of that. We have 2 openings on the police commission. If anybody is interested in serving, please send a letter of inquiry to me. Then we also have a vacancy on the Beartooth Resource Conservation and Development Committee. The appointment has often been held by an elected official, but has been filled by business owners or bankers. It helps economic development by helping write business plans, grant writing, and technical assistance. So if anyone is interested in that, please send a letter to me here at City Hall. And then I don't want it to go unsaid that I can't tell you how much I appreciate the time that Mayor Larson served, along with councilpersons Westwood and Lyman. So thanks to them. Another thing, I'm just going to tell you, so there's no speculation. I might wear a mask here. Other people might wear a mask here. Omicron is rising, and it's not a political statement at all. It's just, and I'm inconsistent, and I don't know how you are, but feel free to wear your mask or not. It's totally your decision. So those are my informal comments, and then the next thing we have to cover is the appointment of council president. So do we have any nominations for council president? Teresa?
I move to nominate Kelly Heaton for the position of president of city council.
I second that.
Any other nominations? Okay, then we'll close the nominations, and does someone want to make a motion to approve Kelly as council president?
Motion to approve Kelly Heaton as president of council.
And second it?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call?
Battle?
Yes.
Curtelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes.
All right. The next thing on the agenda is to appoint officers. So we have an ordinance that says the mayor shall, at the first regular meeting of the council in January each year, appoint with the advice and consent of the council all necessary officers of the city whose term of office is not otherwise provided for, and that would be our department heads. Each of our present officers already has a term of office that's provided for, therefore no further appointments are needed at this time. And now we can appoint council members to departments. I just want the public to know that this is the first meeting of our new council, and we're looking at some of the changes we can make to run most efficiently, and we're going to have some discussions for that, which you're all invited to. So, but in the meanwhile, I will make the following appointments. Jen Battles on admin, Pete Curtelli on legal, Terry Durbin on public works, Kelly Heaton on the police department, Teresa Whistler on both planning and land use, and we're going to try a new thing, at least for the short period of time, Jody Ronning on what we're going to call as emerging issues. So if we could have a motion to approve.
I move to approve the council member appointments to departments.
And second that.
And a roll call?
Battle?
Yes.
Curtelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes.
The next thing on the agenda is reappointment of a cemetery board member. And Will Bernard has agreed to be reappointed. So do I have a motion to approve Will Bernard?
I move to approve Will Bernard as on the cemetery board.
And,
Second it.
all right, and a roll call?
Battle?
Yes.
Vitelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes.
And then we have the Sustainability Board member appointment, and Mary Delgun has very kindly offered to serve. And so could I have a motion for her appointment?
So move.
In a second?
Second.
And a roll call?
Battle?
Yes.
Vitelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes.
And the final thing is an update from the events committee. The events committee has been working very hard for a while, and they continue to work. They are constantly listening to the people who are writing in and sharing their comments. And so Terry, I understand, is going to provide an update.
Hi, I want to first thank everybody who's been sending in letters and comments. We admire your passion and we welcome all of your comments. I want people to know that we have been logging all of them. And just to give you an idea of what we have and what we've been rolling up, we had 93 people at the event forum. All those comments have been rolled up. As far as letters, at one point I had to stick a stake in the ground at one point, had 120 letters. Of those, 83 were not duplicates. And then of those, it was about 45 people that had submitted them. So we've gotten a good, I think, selection of issues that have been brought up, as well as some excellent suggestions as well. And so we've rolled that up. Right now, what we're doing is we're working on a survey for the downtown businesses to get their feedback on what the tourist season in general and the specific events. So we're going to try to get that out within the next week and a half. I'm in the process of calling everybody and getting email addresses, so I should have that done by Thursday. So we're going to get that input. We're going to roll that up. So we'll have input from the businesses. We'll have input from the public. And then I've also been working with our Public Works Department and our Police Department to get input from them on just to find out what the cost is to the city in general for their staff and overtime and resources, and then how that may change during event periods. So what we're trying to do is gather data up front so that then our next step will be to look at our processes and procedures we have in place now and look at the recommendations and look around for some best known methods from other cities that are tourist cities about Red Lodge's size, and then put together a proposal with some recommendations. We are then planning on having another, I don't know if it's going to be a forum or what the format will be, but another opportunity for people to weigh in. And we'll do a complete PowerPoint presentation and provide the data and recommendations. You'll have another opportunity to voice your opinions. And then based on that, we'll do some fine tuning. And then the next step will be to put a plan in place to actually, make changes if we need to, and then maybe a phased in approach. So I know there's been a lot of questions about that. So I wanted people to know Kelly's, been providing updates on that. But, we're sticking kind of with that plan of collecting the data, looking at it, coming up with some thoughtful recommendations, and then presenting it to the public for scrutiny. So hopefully that's going to agree with what people have told us they wanted to see.
Thank you, Terry. Jody, did you have some comments to add?
Well, that kind of sums up where we are as a whole. Still, obviously, haven't really entered the solution space yet.
Mm-hmm.
We had discussed a lot of that beforehand, but we haven't finalized anything at this time.
Thank you. And Kelly, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm wondering if has the committee discussed the tools you're going to use to put out that first survey? I know you mentioned emails. Are there other ways people can engage that survey?
Well, that's a really good question because we're working on this survey now. And one thing we found is that, there's kind of a fine art to surveys. So we came up with one and we're kind of looking at that and then at different approaches. So that's a very good lead in. One of the things we want to do as well is we want to involve the community where it makes sense. And so if anybody has any sort of expertise in making surveys, in a way that's unbiased and short, and will promote people to want to actually fill them out and return them to us. We would welcome your input, and so please feel free to contact either myself, Jody, or Kelly, and we'll get you plugged in. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And the other thing is going to be when we start going through and looking at best known methods, what other cities do. We're going to be doing research. All of us are doing some of that research ourselves, but if you would like to volunteer to do some research for us, we would love to include you. So just again, contact one of us and we'll plug you in.
Thank you. Did you have anything else you want to do? All right. Next on the agenda is public comments. I'd like to invite any of you, if you'd like to make a public comment, or any of you online, just remember, please state if you live in the city or in the county and what street you live on, and keep your time to 3 minutes. Are there any public comments?
I'm always good for breaking the ice. Please excuse my attire. I just came from hockey, at our local rink. So fun. And we also had a tournament this past weekend, which our business housed people that were participating in the tournament. So it just allows me to make the point that, I'm sorry, I'm Jen Kapp, 8 North Platte. I broke the rules, Madam Mayor. And thank you, councilpersons and mayor, for your service. But it makes the point that these events make a difference in our ability to generate revenue and also translate that revenue into resort tax. There's been a lot of discussion lately about events in Red Lodge, and the Harley Rally has been at the center of this discussion. We are asking, as a company, I'm representing AAA Red Lodge Rentals tonight, that we consider all facts and information put forward, and as the Special Events Committee and the Council looks for opportunities to help and support events in Red Lodge. This is a fact. After every departure in our rental pool, it's one of us, or all of us, or some of us, owner-operators, we enter the houses, and we do what we call a walkthrough. And we could write a book. We could do a blog on how to be a great guest and how not to be a great guest. And if there's not a dishwasher, yes, you hand wash your dishes. It's not helpful when you make a dirty bed. These are just tips, pro tips. Trash to be put into receptacles instead of on the floor beside the bed. Don't leave leftovers in the fridge and Tupperware. We can't donate those to the food bank. And using bath mats outside for existing hot tubs is not the intended use of a bath mat. Walkthroughs after Harley Rally are historically easy for us. Houses are used lightly, left in a respectful manner, and our Harley guests prove to be helpful and polite in all the years we've been hosting them, and that's since 2006. Walkthroughs after Christmas and New Year's are hard, consumptive, messy, disorderly, and time-consuming. We know this going in. We appreciate our Harley departures, and we tolerate our Christmas departures because that's what we do as a business. We ask that you consider this information as you help to adjust, promote, and work with, and in some instances, tolerate events in Red Lodge. Speaking personally, I represent a particular segment of society that has been discriminated against simply because of someone else's perception of who I am or how I behave. I hope that in Red Lodge, we are careful to treat events and people equally, making sure to gather all the data about the people who attend and not just focus on a few. We are a business that focuses on community balance and we are very involved. We are here to simply give testimony of the Harley guests that we serve, and we don't want them to be overlooked in discussion. The city of Red Lodge will continue to thrive, and we're dedicated to being a part of it. We recognize that all parties here tonight and those who have given written testimony care deeply for Red Lodge, no matter which side they sit. Please reach out to us. I'm here tonight, Piney's here tonight, Amy's here tonight. If you have any questions of our company, we are happy to sit down. We also have financial data that we would like to be recognized. And Amy is our numbers person. I'm our words person. So if you want to speak to the numbers, Amy, you can. Otherwise, I'll submit.
You can submit, and if anyone has questions on them, I'm happy to elaborate either now or welcome to anyone to contact me at any time, and I can bury you in data. So.
Thank you very much.
May I submit these?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Hello, everyone. Sherry Weimer, Red Lodge Area Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Information Center. Mayor and council, I'd like to welcome you all and especially the new council members. And I'd like to thank you for your service and for being open to input concerning the events. My intention with this letter is to simply educate. We've all been hearing of all the letters being written to the council concerning events, and so I wanted to add some facts that might be of interest. My board and I not only represent the Chamber of Commerce, but we're also a Convention and Visitors Bureau, CVB, you might hear that term thrown around. As such, we're highly regulated by the Montana Office of Tourism and Business Development for any of their marketing dollars that we spend. Therefore, we must have research and facts to back up our marketing plan. One trusted research source is the Institute for Tourism and Recreation Research, ITRR. They operate through the University of Montana. This is just one of the reports that we use to back up our marketing efforts aimed at the motorcycle enthusiast. ITRR research for Montana 2019 non-resident. By the numbers, U.S. data, 50 years old is the median age, 62,500 is the median household income, 81% ownership of motorcycles by males, 68% married, 24% college grads, and 24% retired. Motorcycling is a growing tourism sector targeted at affluent, well-educated, and older individuals. According to a recent study, demographics have been changing a bit for the motorcyclists in the United States. Compared to a repeat study, motorcyclists are aging, more are retired, slightly more females, and the number of motorcyclists who are married has increased, as has the number who have college educations. However, the income of these folks has dropped slightly in 3 years, probably due to retirement. They insert that the Beartooth All-American Scenic Highway is routinely awarded one of the top 5 routes for motorcycling in America. Motorcyclists spend nearly $110 per day in Montana. Motorcyclists spend the majority of their money on restaurants, bars, followed by hotels and motels. Other non-resident travelers average $40 a day. To summarize, motorcyclists spend more than double what other visitors spend per day. They're older, affluent, and well-educated. I don't know why we wouldn't welcome this kind of visit, this type of visitor. From speaking to many lodging managers, I've spoken to all of them, it's been communicated repeatedly that the motorcycle community tends to respect and take great care of their properties. This is not the case with many of our other family-friendly events. After I attended the event meeting at the Roosevelt Center, the conclusion I walked away with was that the main problem with motorcycles is the noise they bring. After much discussion, I felt we came to a logical answer that very evening. We need to educate the riders that come to town as to what our community expects, such as piping down, no excessive noise after 10 p.m., and so on. Welcoming signage and posted notices in all the lodging properties is an easy way to communicate our expectations. I would consider Red Lodge very fortunate to have these issues and growing pains. As many other chambers around the state, they call me constantly. They inquire as to how we are able to have such great events. They do just about anything to have what we seem to take for granted. The Office of Tourism has just announced a $500,000 grant in funding that's being made available to help these struggling towns bring in more events.
Sherry, you gotta wrap it up.
Okay. I'd like to ask everyone involved to please keep in mind that the possibility of adding additional restrictions, costs, and paperwork to the already stressed volunteers putting on the events may have the unintentional consequences of many events no longer being viable. Losing events and the revenue they bring to our town should be of great concern. I invite anyone to come to the chamber, sit down with me. We can visit more about the data and the facts I have to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment here? Tim? Sherry just ate up some of your time.
I was gonna take some of hers. I thought she'd be shorter than me. Mayor and council, thank you for your service and thank you for the opportunity to speak. To start with saying I support the council in forming the events committee with the intention of improving events and mitigating their impact on community and the city services. I've read many of the letters from the public concerning events. Yes, there are letters for and against the Beartooth Rally. Some of these letters are very passionate, but the majority are in favor of events and are asking for equitable and transparent treatment for all events. 20 years ago, our town leaders presented the idea of a resort tax. In doing this, the city made the statement to the public, we are a tourism-based economy. When the Red Lodge citizens voted in favor of the resort tax, they were saying, yes, we are a tourism-based economy. When the resort tax was recently revised and renewed, the town overwhelmingly said, we absolutely are a tourism-based economy. In the name of transparency, I would like to share with the council the contribution to the Red Lodge budget for visitors. An estimated 70%, or $990-some thousand, is paid to the resort tax by visitors. This is nearly 1 million of the 1.4 million collected. If the city budget were to lose this income, the shortfall would come from locals in the form of increased property taxes. Costs aren't going to go down. Red Lodge is a business, and businesses require marketing. The best form of marketing for a town is special events. These events, like the Christmas Stroll, Home of Champions Rodeo, and the Beartooth Rally, help create the Red Lodge brand. They build our reputation and create top-of-mind awareness. They give visitors a reason to come. They give writers across the region and country something to write about. At the same time, these events bring millions of dollars into our economy and hundreds of thousands of dollars into the city budget. This is a win-win. A strong tourism economy equals a thriving community. The equitable conversation is a good one. It asks for an event to pay for the city services it uses. I don't disagree, but with the demand for equity comes the need for transparency. An event like the Home of Champions Rodeo will bring in over $3 million to the economy, while the contribution to the resort tax is likely well over $100,000. This would pay for any extra services not already being paid for by the event organizers, while making a large contribution to the city budget. It's a pretty good ROI for the town of Red Lodge, these events. The city should work with event organizers to keep our events strong and prosperous so that they can continue to keep Red Lodge thriving. The city should be asking event organizers, what can we do for you? What can we do to make your event better? What can we do to make your event more profitable? Because we know if you have a successful event, you will be helping Red Lodge become a stronger community. Please know that we, the event organizers, are here to work with the city of Red Lodge in your quest to be equitable and transparent. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more comments? Here in the building? Online people, do you have any comments?
Mayor Cogswell.
Yes, David?
Thank you for allowing me to comment. This is David Lynn here. I live at 305 North Ward, and I really appreciate the opportunity to comment. And congratulations to the new council members and the new mayor. And thanks to everyone on the city council, new or old, for your service. I've noticed that the council has gotten some comments and letters that I find disturbing, and I wanted to comment on them. I just don't understand why some people out there are misrepresenting what many citizens in Red Lodge are trying to do. Many people in Red Lodge want to make sure that special events of all types are safe and respectful of Red Lodge's laws, and that they do more good than harm and attract people rather than cause them to stay away. Some people, though, have taken an extreme and divisive stand and are trying to paint people who love special events and are trying to ensure that they're safe and respectful of Red Lodge as being against a particular event. Of course, the event that they mean is the Harley Rally, of course. Many of us like motorcycles and welcome them to Red Lodge. The problem is that the organizers of the event in its current form have taken an extreme and divisive position that it's their way or the highway, and that, by golly, they're not going to make changes to the rally no matter what. And I just really think that's unfortunate. The rally organizers need to move away from their divisive position and talk about how to make improvements in the event to ensure that Red Lodge is placed first instead of just being concerned about the pocketbook of those businesses that make money during the event. And I really want to be clear. People are coming to Red Lodge whether we have special events or not. And the evidence is obvious in the resort tax. It has gone up dramatically in the last 2 years, year round, not just during the summer quarter. It's gone up dramatically year round. And let's be clear that most of the resort tax income does not come from special events. So special events should be looked at as icing on the cake. So let's keep them safe and good for Red Lodge residents. And I don't think we've seen any evidence that changes to the rally will hurt those businesses making money during the rally. Of course, there are businesses that lose money during the rally. But most of all, I would ask especially that those who refuse to consider any changes in special events stop with the vitriol and divisiveness and join us at the table. So our special events, which we love in Red Lodge, can be safe and a great asset for Red Lodge. Thank you for allowing me to comment, and thanks to everyone on the City Council for what you're doing. It's appreciated.
Thank you, David. Is there any more online who would like to comment? All right. If anybody else wants to comment, I'll say it 3 times. Any more comments? Any more comments? All right, last call. Any more comments? Looks like that's it for public comment. All right, the next thing on the agenda is the use of city-owned land permit, Big Sky Gravel in Coal Miners Park. So who would like to introduce this? James, do you have, or Courtney?
Kelly, you worked with Jennifer on this a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, so I spoke with Jennifer when she first submitted this application, and I asked her for a couple of clarifying questions about camping and about porta potties and about if she had gotten or given notice to neighbors. And then she did supply letters from the superintendent, and then also from the Yellowstone Wildlife Sanctuary, as both of those properties are adjoin Coal Miners Park, where she's proposing to have this event. She talked about having a band on one of the ball fields and having alcohol service there. There would also be alcohol service at the finish line of this race. And we got Lonnie helped by asking Chief Schrock if he saw any issues, and EMS, fire and EMS, if they had saw any issues, and they both saw no issues. I was hoping that she would be here this evening.
Is she online?
Jennifer.
I don't see her online. Kelly, can I ask you a question about this application?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'll have an answer.
Great.
So.
Do you want to do that during the discussion?
Sure.
Sure.
We need a motion.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve this permit?
I'll approve the permit.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, now, a discussion?
So I'm familiar with this event, and I think it's a great event. I have 2 questions on just the application questions that I felt like weren't really fully answered. So one of which is number 9, the sale of goods or services, and just describe the activity during the event. And she did indicate that there will be sales, but not any detail about what those sales are.
Yep, I don't know what the answer to that is.
Having been to her event, it's usually T-shirts, caps, something that says Montana Cycling Project, or socks, cycling apparel, more or less, that I have seen that her event are selling at that time.
Okay. And then my other question is, do we have confirmation that she's got the server certification that there's gonna be alcohol sold? I didn't see that as part of the application packet.
Lonnie, do you know that?
I haven't seen it, I don't know.
Okay.
Pete?
Where is the finish line? I think alcohol served in a wrong spot is not a good plan. So where is the finish line? Do we know?
Yeah, the map, there's a map on the application that denotes the finish line.
It's very
So it's on the loop.
Yes.
Yeah, I can support that. I couldn't support 12th and Broadway.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. It's inside the parking area there, that general area.
Just recently.
Mayor, I know that in the past, it's the vendor that she brings in to serve the alcohol that has the license and certification. But we could ask for that, like who's the vendor and we'll make sure they have that certification.
I feel like we should
Yeah, no,
have confirmation of that before we say.
oh, definitely. I personally thought that Jennifer was going to be here tonight, so I don't think that, I wouldn't support approving this right now with all these questions and that she's not here to answer them because I don't have the answers to them. So I don't think that's fair.
Would it be proper to move to postpone it, Teresa?
Right, so, I'm not sure if we have to do something first with the first. I'll move to postpone, I don't know if we need a date certain, but to postpone the approval of this application so we can have Jennifer present to answer our questions.
You could amend the motion to not approve it.
Right.
Is that what you're
Yes.
trying to convey?
So, yes, thank you, Pete. So I move to amend the motion that we earlier had to approve this for postponement until Jennifer can be present to answer our questions.
I second that.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Battles?
Yes.
Cutelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes.
All right, we get to move it on to new business. The first item is the request for record disposal, RM60. So Lonnie, would you like to introduce that?
I move to approve. I move to approve the request for record disposal of RM60
I'll second that.
Can you include RM88?
and RM88.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion? Lonnie? Is this?
Just to reiterate what I said during the work session, it's, the standard procedure when we go through record retention and when we go to destroy records, you guys have to approve it and then we have to move it forward to the state and then they approve it and then we
Incinerate.
have a burn party. Incinerate on fire. Yes. Yeah.
Any further discussion? Then roll call?
Battles?
Yes.
Cutelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Heaton?
Yes.
Ronnie? Yes. Whistler?
Yes.
Next up is the UCF Program Development Grant. Courtney, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Just a minute. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the UCF Program Development Grant.
Second.
All right. Courtney, do you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, so the what we are looking for, the Parks Board is looking for, we have been awarded this $10,000 grant. Preliminary, we have not actually received the award letter, but we would need authorization of the mayor to sign the award letter for the Parks Board. Do you want me to expand further on the grant?
We'll see if there's any more questions. Is there any comment or discussion?
I just want to make a comment that I really appreciate.
Just a minute, Teresa.
Oh, I just wanted to follow up with Courtney. You offered to send us the application so we can have an idea, a better understanding of the in-kind services that apply to our matching grant, the city's obligation, and trying to fulfill that.
Yes, yes, and a lot of the in-kind services that we put in on the grant application was for Parks Board time, tree and bee committee time, and then volunteer time for doing like a tree planting day. But anything extra is always great. Any way we can do public engagement, if anyone has ideas, please bring them to us.
Jen, did you have more to?
I just wanted to comment that I really appreciate that the Parks Board and that Courtney have moved forward in finding grant money to help us bring trees into the community and help deal with disease trees. And I just very much appreciate the work that that group is doing to help us with these projects.
And I'll plant the seed. We're able to do this and have these matching funds because of the budget that was approved for the Parks Board this fiscal year. So that on our end is very much appreciated because it increases our capacity to seek more grants with the funding that we have. So thank you.
Pun intended. Right?
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Battles?
Yes.
Fratelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Eaton?
Yes.
Ronning?
Yes.
Whistler?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Courtney.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we're on to our next topic, which is whether or not to award the pool phase 2 bid. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the award the pool phase 2 bid.
Okay.
A second.
And we will have public comment at the end of this discussion if anyone is interested in commenting. So discussion, Teresa?
I just want to say all my questions have been answered, either by Brent or Ale, or I think looks like we're in good shape, in my opinion, from the answers that we've been provided through our working session.
Any other discussion?
I have the same comment for Al and the pool committee, which is just I very much appreciate that we have residents in this community willing to do the hard work and go find grant money and donors to help support projects that are for the benefit of the community. And I don't think that this project would be possible without their work. So,
any more discussion at the table? Pete?
Just to reiterate, this has been a Herculean effort by Judith and Al and Jim and everyone involved. It's an enormous amount of money, and we have to thank our community and the city for both getting behind it.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Any other discussion at the table? Any public comment from anyone here or online? Any public comment? Judith?
I'd just like to say that for the pool committee, we appreciate how the community has rallied behind this project, and the community really wants a pool.
Yep.
And it's been very gratifying to see people come forward and support our fundraising efforts and publicity efforts.
Thank you. Last call for comments from the people here or the people online. All right, roll call.
Battles?
yes.
Fratelli?
Yes.
Durbin?
Yes.
Eaton?
Yes.
Ronning? Yes. Whistler? Yes.
All right, is there any correspondence?
There was more that came in.
Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome, thank you.
And thank you from the pool committee.
Welcome.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
So all the correspondence that we've received is online on the agenda link, if you'd like to read any of it, and any other comments will be in the packet at the next meeting. And with that,
I move to adjourn the meeting.
all right.
Okay.
All right, that's it. Thank you all for coming.
Nice job, Mayor.
Yeah.
Yay.
Good job.